Greetings to you lovely students. I welcome you to today's class. Today's class will be rounding up the topic on taxonomic classification, and our topic for today is phylum Chordata, which is under kingdom Animalia. In the previous class we started the topic on kingdom Animalia, although we could not complete it because kingdom Animalia is actually wide. And if you could recall, I explained to you some classes under kingdom Animalia, such as class Platyhelminthes. Now in today's class I'll be explaining to you the different classes that are under phylum Chordata. Now it is essential that scientists find a way to classify different animals based on their physical appearance, based on their body system, based on their type of head, the kind of organs they have, and other means of classifying them. So in today, our objective for today will be general look at the characteristics of the organisms in kingdom Animalia and the major phyla in kingdom Animalia. We will also be looking at the general features of organisms under phylum Chordata. Then we'll also be looking at the peculiar characteristic features of organisms under each of the phylum. Now we have about five major classes under phylum Chordata. Now what are the characteristics of organisms in kingdom Animalia? One, they are eukaryotic organisms. Eukaryotic organisms are organisms that have all their genetic material being bound by a nuclear membrane. That is, the genetic materials are enclosed in what is referred to as a nucleus. As you can see here, we have the prokaryotic, that has something they call nucleoid. The genetic materials are scattered all over in the cytoplasm. But for the eukaryotic organism, the nucleus is enclosed in a nuclear membrane. Now, kingdom Animalia organisms are also multicellular, unlike other organisms that are unicellular. They exhibit heterotrophic nutrition, that is, they cannot manufacture their own food themselves. They have to depend on other organisms for their survival. Some of them are carnivores, some are saprophytes, some are herbivores, some are combination of herbivores and carnivores as in humans, some are herbivores as in antelopes. Those ones depend on plants for their survival, while some are also saprophytes. They help in the decomposition of organisms. Now they also show movement except for sponges and corals. Like I said in the last class, sponges and corals are under kingdom Animalia, but they do not show any form of movement from one point to another. Their movement is only restricted to a particular point. Now you can see zebras, they have an unrestricted movement. You can move from one point to another. This is an example of corals. Corals are fixed in one point in the sea. The same thing with sponges, but they are under the kingdom Animalia because they have some peculiar characteristics of organisms under kingdom Animalia. Now the fifth one is that their growth is definite. Organisms in kingdom Animalia, their growth are definite. That is, they grow to a particular stage, and at a point they stop growing. They could grow for like 5 years. Afterward, they will stop growing. Okay. Now again, the general characteristics we also look at. They have well-developed organizations such as cell tissues and organs. All organisms under kingdom Animalia, they have cells. A group of cells will make up the tissue, and group of tissues that are performing specific similar functions are regarded as organs. Now, basis of animal classification. Animals are classified based on their body design. They are classified based on their body cavity. They are classified based on their body symmetry. They are also classified based on their germ layers, and also classified based on notochord. Now, most body designs of organisms under kingdom Animalia is either sac-like or tube-like. Sac-like, that is, the body has a single opening for gut, and tube-like in the sense that they have two openings for gut. Organisms in animal kingdom could either be invertebrate or vertebrate. Invertebrates such as platyhelminths, such as tapeworm and the likes. The invertebrates are regarded as the chordates, that is, organisms that have a vertebral column. And this vertebral column gives the organisms under Chordata, it gives them their shape. Now, what are chordates? Now, chordates are the most advanced group of animals. They belong to the phylum Chordata. They are triploblastic, they are bilaterally symmetrical, and they have triploblastic means they have 3 germ cells. Now, their vertebral column is made up of 5 major types of bone: the sacrum, the thoracic vertebrae, the cervical vertebrae, and the rest. Now, peculiar features of chordates: they have true vertebral column, like I said before, and they have a cranium. Cranium is the head. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are triploblastic animals, that if they have 3 germ layers. Now, the bilateral symmetry means that it's a kind of symmetry that can divide an animal into 2 different parts, the left and the right, equal parts. So that is a bilateral symmetry, unlike radial symmetry and all other types of symmetry. So, for instance, we have the sagittal plane that divides an animal, a chordate, into the left and the right parts. Then we also have the transverse plane, which divides the animal into the front and the cranial part, the caudal part. Now, as you can see here, we have 3 germ layers: the ectoderm, the endoderm, and the mesoderm for a triploblastic animal, or an animal with triploblastic organization. That's the germ cell now. Now, other peculiar features of chordates are they have 2 pairs of jointed locomotory appendages. That is, the legs are referred to as locomotory appendages. They have an outer protective cellular covering. Now, the appendages are usually used for movement. In birds have it as wings and also their legs. Then in mammals have it as hind legs and forelegs, or hind limb and forelimb. Then we also have other, like the humans have it as the legs and the arms. So all organisms that are classified as chordates have 2 pairs of locomotory appendages, unlike other animals like insects that have 3 pairs of locomotory appendages, and the spider has 4 pairs of locomotory appendages. So we have 5 major classes under phylum Chordata. We have the Pisces, we have the Aves, we have Mammalia, we have Reptilia, and we have Amphibia. We have the Aves. Now, the Pisces, they are further divided into 3. So as we continue in this lesson, we are going to be looking at each of these classes one after the other. Now, one peculiar thing about chordates that separates them from other kind of organisms is that they have highly developed brain that is enclosed by the skull. The skull is also referred to as the cranium, and they also have the nerve cord. Now, quickly we'll be looking at the classification of organisms under class Pisces. Now, we have the Placodermi, we have the Chondrichthyes, we have the Osteochthyes. Now, we have the 3 of them. Now, Placodermi seems to be an extinct type of organism under class Pisces. Now, the next one is characteristic features of Chondrichthyes. Now, they have a laterally compressed body. Their fins are supported by horny fin rays. An example of these organisms is the rayfish, as you can see in the video here. The rayfish is an example of organism under Chondrichthyes. Now, other examples of organisms under this class is the torpedo fish, we have the shark fish, and we have the scoliodon fish. Now, other features is that the endoskeleton is made up of cartilage, unlike the other type of organisms under Pisces. The swim bladder is absent in the members of this class. They have placoid scales which are usually overlapped, which are not overlapped by one another. As you can see here, the placoid scales does not overlap each other, like you can see here. Unlike other kind of scales in the osteochest, the scales overlap each other. Now again, they obtain their oxygen through gill silts. Like I said before, now they have two-chambered heart. Unlike other kind of organisms that have three-chambered heart, four-chambered heart, this type of organism have only two-chambered heart. They have just the ventricle and the atrium. Now the third one, the other class under Pisces is the osteochest. They have spindle-shaped body. The pelvic and pectoral fins act as balances. They also have two-chambered heart, but in this case they have a swim bladder, unlike the other class that the swim bladder is absent. Now they respire through their gills. Now the skin has a thin, flat, round scales. They actually have a lot of scales that are overlapped by one another. Now, like I said before, they have spindle-shaped body. Examples of organisms under osteochest is the tilapia. We have the carpfish. We have salmon. We have mackerel. We have herring. All these are fishes under osteochest. Now, osteochest and condylochest, they are both referred to as the fishes. They are referred to as fishes because of their body anatomy. They have something that are related. They have fins. They breathe through their gills. They have lateral line. They use their fins for movement. They have caudal fin, even though there are just slight differences between the two of them. Now the next one we are going to be looking at is the reptile. That is class Reptilia. Now, reptiles derive their name from the Latin word reptilis, which means to crawl. To crawl. Now, if you look at it, most reptiles have something in common. They crawl. Reptilia includes three groups of reptiles: the lizards, the snakes, and the turtles. It could be the lizard, it could be a normal agama lizard, it could be an alligator, it could be a crocodile. Now, one of the features they have is that they are poikilothermic animals. Their skin is usually covered with dry and waterproof skin that has horny epidermal scales. They also breathe through their lungs. Most of the organisms belonging to this class have three-chambered heart. You'll be looking at the three-chambered heart as we go on in this video. Now, these are examples of reptiles. If you look at it, they are usually divided into just three. We have the snakes, we have lizards, and then they also have turtles. The turtles have different types. We have it as tortoise. We have different types of, but what differentiates tortoise from the rest is that they have scales, a very big scale on their back. Then snakes don't have legs, but they also have scales all over their body. Then the lizard, and which looks like an alligator or a monitor lizard, also have scales all over the body. Now, characteristic features of class Amphibia. Class Amphibia derived its Latin word from amphi, which means two, and bios, which means life, which means they have two lives. That is, they live one part of their life in water and they can live the other part of their life on land. That is why they are called amphibia. Now, the alligator and crocodile is different because they have a very similar features to other types of reptile. Now, one thing about amphibia is that they are poikilothermic animals. They do not have scales all over their body, unlike reptiles. Now they have three-chambered heart like reptiles. They usually lack claws on their toes, unlike what you have in reptiles. Their skin is either smooth, like in that of frog. It could be moist, it could be slimy, it could have mucous glands. Then they also reproduce sexually. They excrete ammonia in their urea. Examples of organisms under um, class amphibia: we have frogs, we have toads, we have salamander, and so many of them. Now these are tadpole. The tadpole usually respire through their gills when they are in the water, unlike when they get to the adult stage that they normally respire through their lungs, through their skin, and the lining of the mouth. Now the next one is class Aves. Unlike the last three classes I mentioned, the Pisces, the Reptilia, and the Amphibia. Now, class Aves and class Mammalia, they are homoitamic animals. That is, they are warm-blooded, unlike the other three that are cold-blooded. Now, class Aves, they have light body that is covered with feathers. They have four-chambered heart. They have feathers that have different types, which they use for both protection and also for flight. These are the types of feathers that animals under class Aves possess. We have the wing. This one usually is used for wings. This is the down feather covers the chest and so many of them. This is a diagram to show different parts of a feather. We have the downy barbs. We have the other types. Now this is the anatomy of a typical avian species. Now aves also breathe through their lungs. Their bones are lightweight and usually hollow. They have streamlined body. The mouth is modified into a beak. All organisms under aves, they have scales on their legs. As you can see in the picture, we have beak, we have the wings, we have the legs, we also have the digits. They have a four-chambered heart. As you can see in this picture, we have left ventricle, right atrium, and left atrium. Just like we have it in organisms under class Mammalia. So we are going to be looking at class Mammalia. Class Mammalia examples: we have the polar bears, we have camels, we have bats. Bats are actually mammals. We have dolphins, we have moles that live underground, and also humans. We have apes, we have several of them. We have rabbits and the likes. Organisms under class Mammalia, they appear to be quite advanced and they have well-developed brain than other classes under phylum Chordata. They are also homoitamic. The dolphin is an example of organisms under class Mammalia. They usually have parental care. They have highly developed brain. They breathe through their lungs. Most of them they have sweat glands. The female have mammary glands for the production of milk to nourish their youngs. The mammary gland is where milk is secreted for the nourishment of the young ones because it possesses alveoli. The lungs, the organisms under class Mammalia also have lungs. Then again, their body is usually covered with hairs, which vary greatly among species. They also have a tooth. They have tooth. It could be different types. It could be canine. It could be incisors. It could be molars. It could be premolars. It could be the combination of the four, and it could be the absence of canine as it applies in herbivores. And they use their teeth for a grinding mechanism, that is for grinding their food. Now, in the course of today's class, I've been able to explain to you about the meaning of chordata, the organisms that are among organisms that are under the chordates. We have We have the class Pisces, we have class Mammalia, class Reptilia, class Amphibia. Now, even though the Amphibia and Reptilia seems to have differences, they also have similarities. In fact, among the animals under phylum Chordata, the Amphibia and Reptilia seems to have very close relationship. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in my next class. Bye.